What's up, guys? Welcome to a Roaring podcast from Roaring.io, where we talk to some of the best in tech and product management. My name is Jesper Kask, and I'm your host. In this episode, we're joined by Erik Juhlin, CTO at Suite Systems, who provides solutions to build smarter, more efficient business processes. Working with top brands like Ahlsell, Volvo, and Länsförsäkringar, Suite Systems have become a go-to partner in Sweden when it comes to user-friendly low-code tools, enabling companies to digitize and automate with little or no IT development. We dive into how to digitize and automate when lacking resources, what processes to start with, and why starting small is the way to go. Okay, so welcome, Erik Juhlin, CTO at Suite Systems. It's really nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So tell us, just to kick us off quickly, just briefly about yourself and your role at Suite Systems, and preferably the story about Suite Systems as well. What's the story behind the company?
Yes, I just want to start to say I'm happy to go back to normal when we get rid of all the COVID restrictions. I just want to mention that as a start.
Yeah, I guess you're not alone.
Yeah, everyone are pretty much very excited, I would say. Yes, my name is Erik Juhlin. I'm CTO at Suite Systems. We are a company founded around 15 years ago. And we started as a CRM company with common with the CRM system with common CRM functionality as Salesforce automation and case management. Mm-hmm. A couple of years, or rather like 5, 6, 7 years ago, we started to transform our offer and still offer, of course, the CRM functionality, but we have complemented it with products for digitalization and automation of business processes. So that's one of our main focus now, and we are thrilled about that journey with our customers.
Yeah, and when you mentioned digitization and your customers, a lot of times we hear from companies, big and small, really, that they lack sort of the energy or resources. Maybe they don't have an in-house IT team, or they don't have sort of the competence in-house to digitize and build sort of these processes. Why is this such a common trait, do you think?
Yeah, I think we hit this challenge many years ago. That's why we started with this products. We see that, of course, the need of digitalization and automation is always been around, but we want to, there's many tools on the market, but we want to not just help companies to digitalize and automate, but we also want to help them on how to do it. And that means that we want the business themselves to be able to deliver business value, digitalize paper forms, transform all the a bit legacy web forms they have, by business people doing it themselves, rather than normal IT projects where developers do everything and have to implement everything. So we want to put the tools in the hand of the people who really knows the business processes. That's our goal. One of our main goal. Digitalize, automate, but also put the tool in the hands of the people who really, really know their processes, the company's process.
And in your view, what's the major or biggest challenges in trying to digitize and automate these different business processes?
I would say that one challenge is, of course, when you these kind of tools, actually, business process automation engines, for example, they have been around the market for a long time, like more than 20 years. And tools to digitalize build pretty much web forms, web pages has also been around for a long time. I think the challenge is to get these types of tools and products into your ecosystem and on how you implement and develop stuff. And so the first challenge, of course, I wouldn't say convince, but you need a buy-in from IT management at the companies, because it's still a bit different way of implementing stuff. I mean, commonly developers implement the web page and then the automated processes. Mm. You now start with a tool that is meant not for developers but for business people. So first of all, it's really important to get the buy-in from IT and see how this fits into the already existing ecosystem of the company's architecture. So that's one challenge. As soon as that is done, there is no more challenges. No, I'm just kidding. Of course, if you really want to success, if you want to do the journey, you need to, as it's common to normal IT projects as well, you need like people from the business that really can put time into the initiative. Compared to a normal IT project where you're implementing a CRM system or whatever it is, you need to have the business people around and take help from them to do requirements and testing and to like ensure the business value and all this kind of stuff. This is the same, but the people from the business probably they will also build stuff. They will not only give input it and set up the requirements. They will also build it themselves. So of course you need these resources to do it. Mm. That can be a challenge in the beginning.
So where do you start if you have a sort of a lack of resources, not an IT team in-house? Where do you start if you want to digitize different processes? If you have, where do you begin? What's the normal process, or what's the normal sort of starting point?
Yeah, I would say I think it's important to start small, because these types of initiative, it's like a continuous initiative. You start small. And it's not only continuous initiative from the perspective that you implement more and more processes, but it's also a continuous initiative because you have to change the processes all the time. The market is changing. You need new rules coming in. You need to be more compliant. So it's a like never-ending journey to do. But again, when you start, I think it's important to start small. If you take these two things, digitalization and automation, they're very close together, but you can actually start with just digitalizing stuff. For example, I mean, the lowest hanging fruit is we have all these paper forms that we need to send in envelopes and ask customers to sign by paper. If you can start to digitalize a bunch of them, enable them for bank ID signing, then you have achieved a lot. You get like better customer experience. You need to work less on administrative side to handle these forms. You get more right data because you can validate it. So I think the best is to start there, and then you can start to think how we will automate the data we have collected. So don't start too big. I mean, we have this process. First, we digitize it, but in this project, before we release it to the market, it should be fully automated. Everything, all the data we collected for our onboarding process for a customer, for example, it's not necessary. You have achieved a lot through just digitizing the form, like the data collection.
Yeah. And I'm guessing we spoke to Carl Lönndahl from Nordnet, who was very keen on sort of the starting point being that you need digital data as an input in order to automate different processes, whether it's internal or external. So that plays in really well what he just said.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Otherwise, it would probably have hit me in the head.
And what effects have you seen in your customers and their businesses when you have started to make this change towards digitization, not only in the processes themselves, but I guess in a way changing the mindset of the companies?
Yeah, we have we work with many different companies on these initiatives, and different companies have come different far in their journey. I mean, again, when you start to digitalize, for example, paper forms, what you see is, and the next step, I mean, to put it in the hands of the business people so they can like maintain them and create new forms themselves. Yeah, what you see, I mentioned it. First of all, the customer experience is a lot better. And another benefit is, of course, that for many companies, probably especially in bank finance, there is a lot of administrative personnel that works with complements. You get the signed form, a PDF, but it's wrong. They forgot to fill in some field. You cannot read the text because it's manual written with a pen. It's this type of complements when you have to communicate with the customer or the potential customer back and forth. It's super time consuming. You benefit a lot just removing the paper, so to speak. And this work that the administrative personnel do is really, really boring, of course. I mean, so even when you start, you get better customer experience, of course. The process will go faster. You have the data in a structured way. You don't have to complement data. From the beginning, you will reveal work from the administrative department, like things you don't think about. Probably the cost for envelopes and stuff like that. Depends how big organization it is, but it's not zero money. It's some money as well. From the start, that's the benefit. And then when you continue to automate, you will benefit even more, but we probably will come back to that.
Yeah, and I guess the people that work in administrative tasks, like you mentioned, sort of can shift their focus to doing what they're actually supposed to do, or
yeah, that's really important. I mean, this type of work is very repetitive, and these people who have to do this as part of their working day, they are mostly happy, and as you say, they can focus on more value creating things at the company. So it's a benefit from that perspective as well, I would say.
And what about user experience? Because you say that in these types of cases, you want the business people or sort of the operational people to be close to and be able to create new forms, for example, digitally or new processes. User experience must be of huge importance in those cases.
Yes, it's very important. But I also want to mention that if you compare to a normal IT implementation project, where we have people from the business and probably professional, what do you call them, the right specifications and stuff, that and then the develop the solutions. Here you, as I said before, you put it in the hand of the business people. But these types of process, even from the first perspective, the simplest form, like onboarding of a customer, especially if a bank or even insurance company, as soon as it's some deviation with, I probably wouldn't call it deviation, but it's something, they pay taxes in another country, they're probably politically exposed. All these small deviations from a normal customer requires a lot of written requirements to define what should happen in this form. What should be visible, what should be asked for, what agreement text do we need to show, and all this stuff is really, really hard to and time consuming to put requirements on and then leave it to the development department. But since the guy or girl who's doing this form also is the expert on this process, they exactly know what data they need to collect. They're probably very knowledgeable about the legal aspects of creating this type of data collection. That gives a huge benefit. Maybe I didn't answer your question here. It was something about customer experience. No, user experience it was.
User experience, yeah. Well, if you sort of start out with the person who's not very technical, probably they work in administration or customer success or whatever, and give them sort of a tool to build and implement these sorts of solutions. How important is user experience in those cases, that they have something that's really, really simple, intuitive, seamless?
Yeah, it's of course very important. We can see that, we have the tool we provide. There is a lot of tools out there, but the tool we provide, we have put a lot of effort. The product, we have to create digital forms. We have put a lot of effort to make it very easy to use with like instant previews and stuff like that. So of course it's important. And but you can see that almost all people can use these types of tool, because if you're not totally computer, you kind of hate computers, then it's fine. And the reason is that I think the users feel so productive. Before you had like everything in your mind, you always had to ask a developer to do the stuff, but now you have a tool to produce yourself. So for people for developers, they have that feeling all days. Okay, I produce stuff, I build new applications, I build new stuff, and I can deliver business value. It is in the hands of the developers, but now you have moved that to some other role, and they probably never experienced that feeling. Okay, here I can really produce something that will be available for the market tomorrow or next week. So of course, usability is very important in the tools. But I want to mention it again that it's very important that the people who are using this tool have the knowledge, even the automation tools as well, like the business process automation engine. They have knowledge about their data and the process and stuff. Then you will become very efficient in your work.
So going back a little bit, if you sort of lack resources as a company to commit to these often long and costly IT projects, whether it's a lack of an IT department or funds to hire consultants or time and energy, what's your best tip to move forward with these kind of digitization and automation projects if you want to get started and get going on that journey?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, start small, select the most low-hanging fruit, probably where you have a big volume of things coming in, like applications, whatever it is. And then from the beginning, don't focus on the automated process behind. Focus on like do a basic integration. Integrate with your case management system. Probably integrate with some external data source like Roaring to validate data that you collect through the forms, and stop there. Even if it will or not stop, but that will be the first phase, the first most valuable product you give out to the market. So start to find stuff that you can fast get out, and then continue, evolve, add more and more and more and more, and refine. When it comes to the digital forms, then it's more like, okay, now we have done one, now we have done two, now we've done 5, 50, 100, how many you have. So that's like a continuous journey. When it comes to the automation process, then as I said, you can start like, okay, the only thing that happens with this application or this onboarding form for a customer is that it will be sent to the right department, to the right queue in the case management system, and we will validate some fundamental data that the signee for this company is really a valid signee from external data source. Probably that's enough. And then you continue to evolve in your automation, and you probably integrate with your ERP system or your bank system to set up an agreement or a customer card, and you continue with automated communication to the customer, sending that now we're finished with your application, and so on. Because you can also have semi-automated processes. I mean, you can, within an automated process, have manual steps. So it can be a couple of manual steps, but then the automated process continue. And then you probably pick away another manual steps, and you have automated more. So I think that's the way to go, because usually when you come to the automation part, you will have I say that put the tools in the hands of the business people. But when you evolve in your initiative, you need help from IT. You need to integrate with different systems, and they probably need to build new endpoints and stuff like that. So start continuously. Don't fall for the thrill to like, okay, we want to automate the credit application process and take all decisions immediately for all types of credits. Maybe that's too big. Start smaller. Start with, okay, we collect the credit digitally, and then we probably try to get the classification data for this customer automatically and stuff like that.
Yeah, I love that. I think starting small and doing it step by step sounds like a really good advice. And you sort of touched upon something there that I wanted to get back to, which is sort of the audit of where to begin. And when you start looking at these low-hanging fruit processes, if we can call them that, what kind of factors would you look at in order to decide where to begin? If you have 5 or 6 processes that you're trying to decide, is it just the cost of them, or is it sort of what tech allows you to do? Or
it's more like not what tech allow you to do. It's more like what tech don't want to do. That can be one parameter because it's too time consuming or something. Then of course you can look at how much. How many, it was a common measurement before, probably still a bit, FTEs, full-time employees. How many full-time employees do we save on this initiative? That's one measurement. again, customer experience and like churn at an onboarding process can also should be a parameter when you look at it. If you have some types of application where you see that it's a lot of churn, we don't like people start to do, they want to become customers, but they don't complete. Why don't they do that? Maybe we need to do something there. That can be a parameter as well.
I think that's great advice. And since we're coming up on a little bit on time here, do you have any closing thoughts that you want the listeners to bring with them?
Yeah, just give me a call and I will. No, but I just encourage everyone but all companies out there to really do this journey, because do this digitization journey, automation journey with tools that provide this help, like do-it-yourself tools. Like sometimes they are called low-code tools, but it's and put it in the hands of your business people. I think it's the way forward. We have a lack of IT resources all over the world, pretty much. So we need to like move out who implement end user experience and automated processes.
That's super, Erik. Thank you so much for joining us. And I think it was great insight for the people who are struggling getting going with digitization and automation. And I hope to speak to you soon again.
Thank you.
You've been listening to an episode of a Roaring podcast by Roaring.io. Feel free to share it with your friend, colleague, or peer if you liked it. If you wish to stay connected to us, don't forget to subscribe to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.